Yes, monsoon is certainly something we are now betting on.
All right, well, let's get Mayuresh Joshi into this conversation as well. Mayuresh, what is the sense you're getting about the market, and what are you advising investors to do? Because, you know, our markets have now started to underperform the globe, and there are fears of tax terrorism, etc., once again ahead of the budget. Do you think this is a good time to perhaps raise capital or preserve capital and not venture into the markets?
Morning, Sonia. Clearly, I think the viewpoint is that a majority of your investable corpus probably should be kept in cash and waiting for opportunities that might probably arise. So volatility, as Mr. Tulsian was pointing out, would very much stay over the next few weeks. And all the global data points that you're probably talking about, I think there's a huge amount of uncertainty related to how they'll pan out over the next few weeks. So whether that be crude, whether that be China, whether that be US economy-related data. To top that up, you look at how earnings have panned out for Q3. So I think more downgrades will come through probably post this earnings season as well. Expectations again are Q4 is expected to remain weak. What happens with the capex cycle is something to be watched out very, very carefully. And what the finance minister does in terms of fine balancing act, whether he goes for fiscal consolidation, whether he loses his strings in terms of how the non-planned capital expenditure happens, in terms of growth required, specifically in terms of consumption being expected to get pushed up specifically for this year, specifically on the rural discretionary side, is something to be watched out for. So there are a lot of ifs and buts that the markets are playing at this point of time, and markets don't like uncertainty. So in that sense itself, still expecting the markets to remain soft. You might see these intermittent rallies probably come through. But clearly what you're probably telling investors is a lot of the large cap stocks, a few of the mid cap stocks have corrected very, very decently. But again, I think you should not be investing more than 10 to 15% of an investable corpus. It's better to stay on cash at this point of time. Let the budget come through. Let there be some amount of clarity in terms of what the economic outlook is being shared by the finance minister for the coming fiscal, and then probably take a call on the large part of the economy.
Okay, so at the moment you're telling your clients not to buy at all, or are there some value picks that you are speaking about?
Morning, Lata. Clearly, I think, as mentioned, I think a lot of the large cap stocks have corrected quite meaningfully, and in terms of a contraction in forward multiples, you've probably seen that happen over the last few weeks. Having said that, is it a safe venture yet to go into banks? Again, our take is that the larger private sector banks still appear to be a much better position. I think, yes, I think the asset quality issues are plaguing the entire industry as a whole. You're not sure about the global banking industry, but if you're taking a call in the next 2 to 3 years, our own take is that a clutch of the large private sector banks still offer some amount of hope. You're probably looking at cement, which probably I like over the next 2 to 3 years in terms of utilization levels going up. You're probably expected to see some amount of demand revival happening, specifically in the northern and western parts of the country. That will probably lead to some amount of revival in end realizations for the companies. The input costs have gone down. The petcoke consumption that a lot of these companies are using has probably aided their margins, and that probably will help the return ratios going forward. Specifically, PC players in the infra construction space is something that we're liking as well. They've got beaten down quite significantly, but clearly I think if you have got an earnings outlook, and that the earnings outlook is looking very, very robust over the next 2 to 3 years, our own take is that these companies can perform exceedingly well, and select pharma companies as well. So clearly I think if you look at a bunch of these stocks, our own take is that if you've got an outlook of more than 2 years, again a calibrated way of investing into these stocks will probably give you a better yield over that time period.
Okay. Mr. Tulsian, what are your thoughts on Wockhardt? That stock has gone from 1700 to 700 in less than 3 months. Yesterday it was up about 5%. But from here on, how do investors approach it?
See, Sonia, if you take a call on Wockhardt, I don't think that there is any fundamental clarity. Let's be very clear. Yesterday we have heard Habil Khorakiwala. What he has said, he has said the same thing 3 weeks back also, when the Shendra observations came on, or 483 came on Shendra facility. At that time there was discussion that there are about 9 observations, of which 4 and 5 are just routine in nature, and there is no data integrity issues and all that. And at that time also he has said that 5 issues will get resolved, and maybe balance 4 will get sorted out in maybe next 2 to 3 months. Now come on the Chikhalsana and Waluj plant US FDA clearances. That is about couple of years old, or maybe about 2.5 years old, and market has all been expecting probably those things will come. Then he has referred 5 QIDPs, which has not been received by any company in the world from US FDA. About as of now, about 35-36 QIDPs have been issued, but those will get time, maybe 3 to 4 years for monetizing, because those things are but they are breakthrough for the company. So you just cannot say that US FDA is having a negative view on the company per se. So now take the situation that yes, it's a very highly volatile stocks. We have all been hearing that yes, things are getting sorted out very soon. So it goes up very fast. In the past also, maybe 3-4 months back, if you see, stock correct fell to 1100, moved to 1700. So yes, I agree that this has the highest volatility. But if you really ask me on the fundamental basis, I don't think that the current price of 750 really warrant. But yes, yesterday's interview has given some relief, and if you take a technical call, now Vocard is in an F&O ban, so that also plays a part. Actually, that theory is wrong. In fact, this F&O ban entry and exit is all again manipulations. The strong hands can do it very easily by playing it into options. Let's not discuss on those things here. But yes, that also may have played in favor of the stock, because fresh shorts cannot get initiated, and there is no incentive also to short at this level. So if you want to take a positive, purely a fundamental call on the stock, you need to have a 6 months horizon, allow these Chandra facilities to get clarity, and then look for the Waluj and Chikhalthana plant, which I won't be surprised to see the US FDA getting clearances, at least for the Waluj plant, if not Chikhalthana. Then Chikhalthana can again, see maybe after 4 or 6 months once Waluj gets clearances. So yes, this is a process of 6 to 12 months where I'm at least very positive on the stock.
Okay. Well, we did get a technical buy as well on it from Sudarshan. Mayuresh, I actually wanted to ask you also about the FMCG stocks. Those were some of those few areas where we did see better revenue growth. I mean, not just for Daburs and Marico's. We also saw it a little bit in the two-wheelers and some of the air conditioner makers. In the broad consumption space, durable and non-durable, do you still see buys, or have they become expensive?
No, Lata, again, I think the entire sector, whether you talk about the durable or the non-durable part, was expensive. But after the recent contraction that we've seen, we're probably looking at some amount of value buys probably emerging from this space itself. So specifically on the two-wheeler side, our own take is that if the monsoons are expected to be good, and this is what we're reading from reports, you might probably see the rural discretionary players, specifically players like Hero MotoCorp and TVS Motors, probably benefit in terms of a good monsoon. But clearly, I think what we like within the space is TVS Motors. The management commentary there of regaining market share or getting market share close to that 16% mark, of getting EBITDA margins close to that double-digit figure of 10%. I think these are very encouraging signs, and they're probably getting supported by the new launches. When you're talking about the other stuff in the consumer discretionary space, I think a lot of these air conditioner, air cooler guys have probably done a hell lot better than what we probably expected. So if you take into instance what a Whirlpool has done, what a Voltas has done, what a Blue Star has done, probably I think you're still seeing stickiness happening in terms of how the bottom line is panning out for a few of these companies, but at least there is some green shoots that are probably visible at this point of time. Or the larger theme, probably when you're talking about the probably talking like stocks like Dabur or Britannia or Emami, probably the valuations were a tad bit higher anyway, and they always got that premium justification based on the kind of volume growth they were doing in terms of the product launches, in terms of how the margins were panning out. And the general theme is that the input costs have probably gone up for a lot of these players. So I think I'll be extremely selective within this space itself, and what we probably like at this juncture are stocks like Britannia. If they correct further from the current levels, you're probably looking at stocks like a Blue Star, where the numbers were exceptionally good on all three of their business segments, whether that be their room air conditioning segment or their engineering product segment, or even on their industrial segment. So clearly, I think the numbers were far better than we probably expected. And again, I think when you're talking about the two-wheeler space, as I mentioned earlier as well, I think TVS Motors is something that we're probably preferring from a 2-year time horizon.
Okay, we'll take a short break on that note. We'll come back in a bit in time for the pre-opening rates, but here's a quick programming note. In our third edition of the Budget Guest Editor, catch Rhythm Desai of Morgan Stanley today to discuss the market setup for us in the run-up to the budget. That happens at 11 a.m. onwards, only on CNBC TV 18 later today.
Renault Passion for Life presents Headlines of the Day. Brought to you by Renault Passion for Life.
The SGX Nifty is not showing too much enthusiasm. In fact, it's just about 16 points in the green. And in any case, we've been moving on our own trajectory, which is a weak one. So perhaps you can expect some selling pressure in today's trade as well. We have 3.5 more minutes to go, and we have some more strategies from our guests. But before that, Mr. Tulsian, wanted to ask you about one of the stocks that you've identified for us, which is Storvik Industries. The numbers came out yesterday. How did they look, and what's your recommendation?
See, Sonia, they cater to the textile and graphic printing market, and this is an MNC company, SPG Print of Netherlands. They hold 71%. If you see, they have December as the year end. If you review their quarterly results YOY, or if you review their yearly results, that is CY15 to CY14, you will find a growth of 45% across the board. First, let me take the Q4 results. 47 crore turnover has come against 32 crore in the same quarter last year, with EPS of about 24 rupees against 11 rupees in the same quarter previous year. Now come on an annualized basis. As I said, they have the ending December. So for the calendar year 2015 on consolidated basis, EPS is at 105 rupees against 56 rupees of the calendar year 2014. So what my point, which I was just alluding for a while back, that we are seeing many such companies, in the mid cap and small cap, where we have the, potential, or the earnings have shown came so decent, as in the case here, it is 45% growth in the margins and all that. So stock is now, corrected to 2080. Now it's ruling at around 2080. I won't be surprised to see the share moving to 24,500 maybe in next 3 to 4 months, because this is the point, where you must have some conviction and some time horizon. What people do, what investors do, they buy today 2080 and they start expecting 2400 in a week's time. It doesn't happen in that way, But my point is that yes, these are, if you pick the few quality mid cap and small cap stocks, they can give you a return of 20% to 30% even in this market over next 3 to 6 months, and this qualifies as a stock in that category.
Varinder just writes to us that he had spoken about this stock in his small cap big idea, and points out that they have consistent sales growth of over 10 to 12%, as you said, over the last 5 years, as well profit growth of 35% over 5 years. Well, the market has been unkind to a whole lot of stocks, especially mid caps in its wrath, but these are some of the stocks that stand out on performance. That was Storvik Industries. We still have about a minute to go before we get the pre-market rates. Chandan, any of your strategies that you want to discuss stock wise? I think you have some drug stocks.
Yes, talking about selective counters which are performing the market, or selective stocks which are forming the negative pattern. Here I would like to suggest to sell on Ajanta Pharma. The stock has felt immediate breakout to hold about 1345 zone and corrected by around 3 to 4% with built up of short position. On last trading session, it headed towards 1210 with open interest addition of around 9 to 10%, which clearly indicates that fresh shorts are now coming into the counter. So here we have selling opportunity, recommending to sell with a stop loss of 1270 for the downside target towards 1170 levels. Okay, that's on Ajanta Pharma. You have a couple of others on Syndicate Bank, on GAIL as well. Yes, talking about Syndicate Bank, and most of the PSU banks are making lower top, lower bottom formation. In fact, PNB and Canara Bank are started to aid fresh built up of short position. Syndicate Bank is not ready to witness any bounce back move. Sustained call writing and built up of short position is dragging to lower levels. So recommended to sell on any small bounce back move. Keep the strict stop loss of 55 as the trend now turned into oversold territory, but we would like to be with the trend and expecting it to go down towards lower levels of 49 to 48 zone.
All right, we'll just come back to you for more strategies. The pre-opening rates are, as always, confusing. There is a negative tick on the Nifty, actually, which is a little surprising because the SGX 50 was indicating at least a mild green start. Rupees opened a little weaker at almost 68.50. That would normally be a negative signal for the markets as well. But the now there's green on the screen. Both Sensex and Nifty are moving a little higher. At least there's green, not a whole lot higher. And the rupee is the one that's a little weaker at this point in time. Difficult to tell you what stocks are doing well. TCS has opened with a green tick. Wipro is open with a red tick, so the market is still really trying to make up its mind. Not much by way of indications at all. I mean, at least not something that is tradable or clear in terms of where the market is headed. Very, very confusing signals. Sudarshan, is there anything in the IT space that you will play at all today?
No, IT space, Infosys is a stock that's been in a very narrow range for many days now, and a small uptick in Infosys is a buying opportunity. I thought of putting it in my list, and then there were so many other more volatile instruments to buy or sell. But Infosys is something that traders should be looking to buy, don't sell it.
Okay, well, a couple of other stocks that are in the news. Bank of India is getting hit hard after the S&P has revised its outlook on Bank of India to negative from stable. So BOI in pre-opening is down almost about 4% and Valecha Engineering on the flip side is up almost about 2-3% on the back of an order win of almost 400 crores that they got. So 7.5% higher on Valecha Engineering. But if you look at the markets now, the pre-opening rates have settled a tad bit into the red. In fact, it's flitting in and out of the red zone. So there is some fear that once again we could see a sell-off today. HDFC, a lot of the institutional favorite stocks, IndusInd Bank, HDFC, HUL, ICICI Bank, all of them are under pressure this morning, almost about 1 to about 2% Ashwini, you know, this is a trend we've been seeing for the last couple of days where there's underperformance with many of these institutional favorite names, you know, names like Infi, HDFC, IndusInd, etc. Do you expect that trend to continue? And out of this pocket, which are the stocks that could be most vulnerable now?
Well, it's clear if you see, 1,000 crores of selling every day in the evening, these are the stocks that are held by FIIs. So I think they still have ways to go. So on all rallies, this is what, these are the kind of stocks where pressure will come. So definitely that is something that is not letting the market rally substantially. So as you see rallies in all of these, strongly held financials, you should get short on them. Particularly when they hit resistance levels.
Okay. Actually, the rupee is pretty weak. It's about 0.25% lower. And I think now we are going to reach the level which was hit on August the 28th, 2013. So it is now coming to its all-time lows, as it were. It's a very, very gentle slide, but just keep your eye on the currency. We have seen some weakness of late and it could develop into something nasty. The yield also is quite bad at 7.95 for the 10-year. So the fixed income side is not all that relaxed at this point in time. Let's get back to stocks and see if there's anything more concrete that we are getting. It's still positive for the Sensex and the Nifty, so not to worry so much. But individual stocks are still not giving us anything firm. Sun Pharma is up 1.2, BPCL is up 1.2, Tata Motors is up 1.2, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, L&T are all showing a little bit of strength, but not a whole lot. At least we are not plumbing further depths. Ashwini, what is the first trade if the Nifty indeed were to open around that 7,060 mark? Would that confirm that you would go out and sell right then?
See, 7,080 thereabouts was the resistance zone. I am hoping that in the early 10-15 minutes we'll get to those levels, and once we get there and the market kind of is not able to sustain, you would try to get short, because SGX also has not been able to sustain those levels. So clearly there is a problem at 7,080, 7,100.
Okay.
Sudarshan, you won't have a trade at if the market opens at 7,060 or 7,080. You would rather avoid the Nifty.
At least in the morning. See, 7,060 is a no, I mean, it's a no man's zone or a no price zone. Is it bearish? Is it bullish? I don't know the answer. And since we don't have a view on the trend also, at least the short term trend, I really don't have a trade.
Okay, well, once again seems like we're going to underperform the globe. At least that's what the pre-opening levels are indicating. So let's do one thing. Let's get some more trading ideas for you guys in our segment Bullseye. This week we've had Vishal Malkan, Jay Thakkar and Vijay Chopra battling it out for the strongest portfolio. So let's listen in to what they've picked out for today.
The first buy recommendation is on Spark. One can buy Spark for a target of 274.50 with a stop loss of 257.50. Second buy recommendation is on Tata Chemicals. One can buy Tata Chemicals for a target of 341.40 with a stop loss of 324.80. The first sell recommendation is on ITC. One can sell ITC for a target of 281.70 with a stop loss of 302.70. And one can sell Apollo Hospitals for a target of 1362 with a stop loss of 1457.
The first is Motherson Sumi. It's a sell call. It could be sold at the current market price of 227 for a target of 215. A stop loss of 238 should be maintained on the stock. My second call is Jet Airways. It's again a sell call. The current market price is 534. It could be sold for a target of 5 with a stop loss of 554. My third call is RIIL. It's a buy call. The current market price is 376, so it could be bought for a target of 390 and a stop loss of 360 should be maintained on the stock. My final call is Focard, again a buy call. The current market price is 794. It could be bought for a target of 830 and a stop loss of 765 should be maintained on the stock.
HDIL, buy with a stop of 56 for targets of 62. Bank of India, buy with a stop of 80 for targets of 90. SKS Micro, buy with a stop of 480 for targets of 530.
And Vishal's fourth pick is a buy on Voltas with a target of 245 and a stop loss at 225 rupees. So lots of stock calls to work with in trade today. But for the market itself, it's very quiet. There is pressure that you're seeing in names like Ken, Idea Cellular, SBI and Maruti Suzuki. So those are stocks that are down almost about 0.5 to 2.5% ahead of opening trade this morning. But Rajat, I wanted to discuss some of the biggest losers this month, which are names from the capital goods space, names like BHEL that have lost about 25% of its value this month. Is there any fresh shorting opportunity in the capital goods space?
You see, BHEL in the last 3 days, you have seen on Monday, on last Friday, there had been record volume, and after that the volumes are declining and the lows are not, lows are almost at the same level. So unless it breaks this low around say 101 or 100 to be precise, you won't see much of a fall. But suppose if 100 were to be taken out, in that case there could be a sharp 6 to 8% fall in even on a single day. So that is the likely possibility. At these levels you would expect a recovery only if it were to trade above say 110 to about 113 kind of levels, but that kind of a recovery is very unlikely given the kind of weakness that BHEL is showing.
Okay. Apollo Tyres, Chandan, you have your strategy on that stock?
Yes, on last trading session it failed to hold its hurdle of 159 zone and also call writing at 160 strike indicating the stock may see some profit booking. It also slipped below its 50-day moving average and potential to go down by 4 to 5%. So here recommending to buy with 150 put, keep the stop loss of 1.5 and expecting this put to move towards 6.5 to 7 rupees.
Ashwini, do you notice a pattern on Apollo Tyres? Has it put a near-term bottom?
These days, calling bottoms is a risky activity. Yes, it has rallied a bit because of good results, etc. But the way it's acted yesterday basically cleaned out all the gains from day before. And I think 159, 160 should not get crossed on the upside, and we should slowly decline towards 130, 135.
Okay. Well, we haven't discussed too many of the IT stocks today, except Ashwini, of course, has spoken about the CNX IT index. But Sudarshan, what are your thoughts on some of the IT names? You have been bearish on them for a while, and stocks like Tech Mahindra have lost about 20% of their value this month. Any fresh shorting ideas here, apart from Infi that you spoke about earlier?
Yeah, Infi was a buy idea. It wasn't a short idea. I think I would stay away from shorting. IT stocks are now coming to strong support levels, and the chances are there may be outperformance, relative outperformance. So the shorting opportunities exist in banks, in a lot of pharma companies, and that's the more interesting part.
Okay, Emami is one of the better performers this year. At least it's been in the green, whereas the benchmark indices have all ended about 14% lower year to date. Any trade in Emami, Sudarshan?
Emami is a long-term investment idea, and that idea is valid, but I don't think it's a tradable instrument. If you want to buy a good quality mid-cap, which is a very rare species anyway, then Emami qualifies. Buy it, hold it for 5 years, you will make a lot of money.
Okay. Ashwini, similar question to you. Any investment ideas that emerge now that the markets are at probably unexpected lows?
See, it's difficult to say what is an investment idea can't go down 30-40%. I would like the market to turn first before giving those investment ideas. But clearly, since commodity prices being lower is a theme, so anything where their raw materials are getting cheaper and margins are improving, those are the sort of ideas that people should look at. So anything that's related to oil or is a consumer of metals, etc., that is where people should look for if they want to hold for the longer term. While that is a kind of a fundamental call, I think technically you will get investment ideas only once the market bottoms out.
Okay, I just wanted to point out that there's a bit of a sell-off that you're seeing across the Asian markets right now. So keep that in mind before you take a look at our own markets. Japan is down 150 points currently. It's down almost about 1%. The Hong Kong market as well has moved to the low point of trade, down about 0.3%. Korea is in the red. So many of these Asian markets have given up on all of their gains, if there were any, that is. Shanghai too is up just about 0.2%. So there is volatility creeping into the Asian markets as well. But let's get back to some of the stocks. Mr. Tulsian, Kesoram Industries, that company has raised 180 crores through the preferential issue of shares. How would you approach that name today?
See, Sonia, in fact, it's an interesting story. We have all been hearing about the succession plan because Manjushri Khaitan, the daughter of B.K. Birla, she is, heading this company. And now all the type of talks are going on because first we have seen them selling their Haridwar tire plants to JK Tyre for 200 crores. Then board has decided that they will be selling all the intergroup investments, that is whatever investment they have been holding in Century Textile and all that, for about 500 crore. Now having raised this 180 crores, and that too if you see 90 crore has been pumped in by IndusInd back into the optionally convertible preference share, and 90 crores has been subscribed by the Manav Investments and Trading Company. Now this Manav Investment Trading seems to be an AB Birla Group company. So now whatever talk I had yesterday, people from the informed circle have been saying that probably this could again be seeing a succession plan, the company going into the fold of AB Birla Group with 7.5 million ton cement capacity, because if they exit from the tire division, right now they have the another tire unit in Odisha where they also may look to exit. So this will remain a pure cement play, and we all know the liking of the AB Birla Group or having an aggressive plan of raising the capacity of Ultratech to 100 million ton. Right now they have 70 million ton, so that can help the group to achieve that goal. So this seems to be a big development which one should keep a watch on of cleaning up this balance sheet and ultimately heading towards a succession plan from the BK Birla Group. Yeah.
Okay, well, looks like there is a tweet from Airbus. I mean, this is on Indigo, another stock altogether. A tweet from Airbus saying we expect the first A320neo to enter service in Asia with Indigo in the coming weeks. That company, of course, has been trying to expand fleet and it's getting pushed back. So this could be a minor positive at this point in time. We can see some bit of green on the Interglobe stock as well, likely to get more, likely to add to its fleet very soon. That's the news coming in on Indigo itself. Well, the markets definitely are looking like it's going to be a green start, but the Bank Nifty is not the one that's going to shoulder any of the good work. That index itself is likely to open flat, but Sensex and Nifty likely to open about 0.2 higher, largely led by the likes of Dr. Reddy's, Lupin, largely the drug stocks. Okay, so there it is, very, very flat. It's not even 0.2 up and it's already in the red. As Sonia was pointing out, the Asian markets in the last 15 minutes to half hour have given up a lot of their gains, in particular Nikkei, and that's probably adding to the negative sentiment. We didn't do well when they did well. It's difficult to imagine that we could do terribly well when the Asian markets are looking mixed to actually negative at this point in time. So it's quickly gotten into negative terrain. Now all indices are in the red, but particularly note the Bank Nifty. It's in a very, very troubled spot at this point in time. Cain is the biggest loser, of course. That's not just the crude crisis. It was a CNBC TV exclusive that Cain Energy is also being pursued by the tax department for with a threat that its assets will be taken over. So there is a sentiment negative that Cain India will go. It is the notice was to Cain Energy. That was the India story, but Cain India is finding that sentiment negative. More importantly, it's the banks. PNB down 2.9, SBI down 2.2, IndusInd down 1.4. That anyway was a sell from our experts. Yes Bank is down 1.4, Bank of Baroda down 1.4. Now it has even lost 130 rupees. Bank of Baroda after that big rally on Monday. Bharti Airtel down 1.1. ICICI Bank. Let me just get the banks in. Those are the ones that are coming in for a lot of punishment. Bank of India is down 5.75, almost 6% as we speak. Syndicate Bank, the other one that was singled out, is down 3.7. Union Bank 3.2 down. Canara 3 down. OBC about 3 down. Allahabad Bank 2.2 down. Well, basically the rating agencies have indicated that if capital doesn't come, we are going to downgrade, especially the likes of IOB. Then it will become difficult for them to even open LCs or have foreign transactions. They could do all the domestic transactions they want, but this will be a very big negative for these banks. So IOB is literally taking it to the chin, 7% down now. Something will have to be done about capitalization, or they will lose a whole chunk of their LC business. That's the word. That's what the word from the rating agencies indicates. So Bank Nifty is the one thing in on the chin. The banks I'm mentioning are not part of Bank Nifty really, but that index as well is the one that's the weakest link. BPCL, Dr. Reddy's, Infosys, NTPC, Sun Pharma. So basically IT and drug stocks are doing somewhat better, holding the other side of the index.
Oh no, but not a good opening at all. In fact, look at the mid-cap index, down about 0.5% in the first few minutes of trade. The market breadth is really weak at almost 1:2 in favor of the declines. And you were talking about banks, but the problem of stressed assets and bad loans is not only restricted to banks, it also goes to the power sector lenders. So you're seeing the likes of REC, PFC get hit very hard right now, about 10%.
Yeah, because of dividend, it's a 12 rupee dividend impact. If you see the F&O stock for REC, that's flat. So yesterday there was quite a bit of discount on REC. So the REC fall is purely dividend. There was 12 rupee dividend, and the stock is down 14 rupees.
All right. So that explains the big fall that we're seeing in REC. But apart from that, you also have a lot of cuts that you're seeing in names like Jain Irrigation, KEI Industries, Motherson Sumi, PI Industries. All these stocks are down about 3 to 5% or so. In terms of some of the names that are in the news, Valecha Engineering has won an order worth almost about 400 crores. So that stock is up almost about 6% or so. In the green, you do have a few other names, very few and far between actually. So apart from Valecha Engineering, there are names like Just Dial, where a small bit of rebound is seen. Wockhardt is extending its gain from yesterday, so that's up in the green, and HDIL is up almost about 1% or so. Lata.
Okay, well, really debilitating weakness. Actually, it's the banking stocks that are weak, so let's get an expert in, a veteran. Mr. BK Batra of IDBI has joined in. Good morning, Mr. Batra. What we hear from S&P is that they are worried about a whole lot of public sector banks. About IDBI, they say that they are worried about the sharp deterioration in NPL, in asset quality, and would put it negative if capital didn't come. If indeed you're put on negative watch, does it impact your, say, LC business? How does it hurt the working of the bank?
I think the reasons for NPLs going up are by now well known.
Yes.
And the capital requirement additionally would be there for all banks. That's also quite clear. But as far as IDBI Bank is concerned, I think we are fairly well placed in the sense that even after booking a loss and, making provisions of 3,300 crore, we are above the RBI norms. At the same time, for taking care of our business, we have lined up, avenues through which we can augment our capital. One of them, of course, is QIP, which we kept on hold for market reasons, but we can return to market as and when the sentiment improves. Second is, we've also been authorized by government to go in for an 81 issue of up to 500 million USD. And that is another source to augment capital. And third, of course, is our non-core assets, which we have a fairly good stock. But depending upon the interest in them and the pricing that we get offered, one by one we can monetize them also. So, we have quite adequate backup to take care of capital requirement for growth, as well as for any additional provisioning that we may have to make in the forthcoming quarter as well.
So what is the capital adequacy now, especially the tier 1, and what might it be, say, a quarter down the line?
Our tier 1 is close to 8% and overall is 11.7%. And quarter down the line, it's very difficult to say, how much it would be, but we are expecting that we would still be above the RBI.
Mr. Batra? Well, I think we just got cut off. We'll try and reconnect with him. Well, they do have some non-core assets, but this is still looking like a very difficult situation for a lot of banks. So upfront capital from the government will have to come in the budget. While we wait to be reconnected to Mr. Batra, Anuj, your first thoughts? Markets could barely stay in the green.
Yeah, I think the bank nifty is clearly disappointing, Lata, for a lot of bulls, because just 2 days back it looked like, especially with the options data, that the short covering bounce was going to continue. But it's going to be an interesting day. It's going to be a really volatile day. Market from here on till expiry is going to be extremely volatile. It's a market which will give you intraday trading opportunities, but maybe not for carrying forward. So keep an eye on the trend till 10 a.m. and then maybe take intraday calls accordingly.
Okay. Well, it doesn't look like it's going to put on strength too much, but let's see how things go from here. Ashwini, is there a trade now on the Nifty, or like you said, you would wait to short only when it goes to 7080? Is there a trade now at all?
Well, I think the market has clearly shown its hand that it is weak, but it's more likely to be a sideways session rather than a trending session. So as far as a sideways market goes, possibly an intraday rally could still be possible to about 7,080 odd. So if we go there, only there, a short trade would be taken. The bank nifty is probably the weaker of the index. So in case it comes closer to yesterday's low, which is about 14,140, that would be the index I'd like to go short on.
Okay, Sudarshan, what about you? The market is open in the red and the mid-cap index is in fact now down about 0.5%. Any fresh shorting ideas on individual stocks that you've observed?
No, but I have a trade on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. Okay. There is a sense of weakness. The market should not have opened lower. Now it's always possible that we can see rallies because this is a choppy market. I said it's really a no price area. But it is possible now to take a short position in the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. Don't use futures. Luckily we are very close to expiry, so buy 7,000 puts for the Nifty. The cost of the put is your stop loss, and of course maybe we can also revise it in case markets go up and buy 14,000 puts, February puts in the Bank Nifty. The theme now seems to be that rallies are not sustaining and the markets could slide slowly, not necessarily today, but we are now taking a bearish position on both indices.
Okay, are you more comfortable taking a bearish position on any specific bank? I mean, you said IndusInd, but that was different.
Yeah, no, but it's it's very difficult for me to sell after 4-5% declines. Both the companies, stocks you've named earlier, Bank of India and IDBI, are worth selling into. But how do you sell at these levels?
Yeah, I guess it's rather bad. Bank of India even now down about 5%. It started off much weaker, and IOB of course is the one that will be singled out for even more punishment. Rajat, any stocks that have swum into your radar?
Well, I would say that to me, Tata Motors, the kind of movement that it has given from, say, sub 299 levels looks pretty interesting. If it were to trade above, say, 304, 303.4 is a supply zone. If it were to trade above that, then there could be a minor pullback rally which could take it up to, say, something like 309 to about 310. So the trade would be 305 you put a stop loss at 302.50 and expect 309 to about 311 on the upside.
Okay. Jubilant FoodWorks is another stock that's coming out for punishment with fairly decent volumes in bang in the early hours. Sudarshan, is there still scope to sell that stock? It's been such a breakdown.
Yeah, but it's not an intraday trade. It's a positional short, even then, because there's a lot of space for Jubilant Foods to go down in. So if you want to take a positional call, sell March futures for Jubilant Foods and stay there.
Okay, well, the market is attempting to recover a tad bit, and that's courtesy the IT stocks. HCL Tech, Infosys are trading in the green right now. Even pharma stocks, actually, Dr. Reddy's, Sun Pharma, Lupin are all up about 1 to 2%, and oil marketing companies like BPCL are also in the green, up about 2.5%. In fact, BPCL is your top nifty gainer now. Mr. Tulsian, oil marketing companies had a very good run this quarter. Do you think once the market stabilizes, this could be a bet once again for investors?
I don't think that this can be taken as an investment bet, because again they will be also be dancing to the to the moments of the crude and all that. But if you see, probably I find Hindustan Petroleum as the cheapest amongst, from a trading or from a near term or maybe short term investment point of view I'm referring to. But I don't think that they can really be held as an investment stocks now in the portfolio, because if you really see their performance, Q2 GRM was closer to about $1 per barrel. Q3 again they bounced back to $7 per barrel. These kind of operational performances doesn't go well with the market on a fundamental basis. Yeah.
Okay. Things are looking a little troubled, but as Sonia brightly points out, there is some bit of stability that you can see in drug stocks, oil marketing stocks, and then a few strong spots, like say today Tata Motors is one of them, Infosys, Sun Pharma, Lupin. So IT drug stocks are still holding out some water in the green. Mayuresh, any picks in the front line that you would go into hoping that that would be the safe harbor when the markets fall?
Safe harbor, I'm not really sure, Lata, but again I think if you look at the classical defenses, which is IT, pharma, clearly what we're looking at is HCL Tech and the Infosys from the IT space. HCL Tech specifically, our own take is that in dollar and rupee terms, I think a 13% growth is not ruled out in the next couple of years. Again, I think the EBIT margins that the management has mentioned should be sustained anywhere between 21 to 22 odd %, and that will be more or less led with moving work offshore, efficiency-led gains, the transformational deals that has been winning quarter after quarter. Valuations again are very, very attractive at this point of time. Similarly for Infosys, I think we're expecting tailwinds in terms of utilization levels going up. Client mining activities have been quite robust, and valuations seem quite reasonable even at this point of time, considering the outlook that the management is talking about in terms of $20 billion of top line by 2020. You're probably looking at utilization of cash in the right manner that it has on its books. Within the pharma space, again, I think Dr. Reddy's, after the sharp contraction that we probably witnessed over the last few weeks related to FDA concerns, numbers a little bit below estimates. Again, expectations of numbers being soft can well continue to Q4. The stock can very well correct 6 to 7% from the current levels. But again, I think our own take is got a very strong NDA pipeline and a combination of Para-4s, FDFs, the domestic formulation business, including UCB acquisition, has done exceedingly well. The calibrated sales in Venezuela, rest of the world, the PSAI degrowth that we've probably seen is getting compensated by India, which has grown 34%, US, which has grown 18%, and valuations have become attractive. So our own take is Dr. Reddy's can actually have a 17-18% earnings growth over the next couple of years. So any decline onto that stock also becomes a very good buying opportunity for long-term investors.
Okay, Mayuresh, Mr. Tulsian and Rajat, thank you so much for joining us and taking us through the first 1 hour of pre-market and the opening as well. Down about 0.3%, so not looking good. The downtrend continues.